Yes. Welcome home. And that, my friends, is how the great seedling exodus of 2021 will go for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Woo! First 2 lots of peppers, first 2 trays of tomatoes, that's gardener's delight. Brilliant. And I just want to show you my little setup. This bag, it's one of those, you know, these kind of bags for life. I have no idea how I came by these 2 bags. Honestly, no idea, because I don't shop at M&S, which is where they were from. I don't use bags for life because I use cotton shopping bags, so I've literally no idea. Maybe it was, you know, it might have been something like, I've gone up to my sister's for Christmas and I've been given these to bring Christmas presents home in. Maybe something like that. Anyway, the point is, they are the perfect, well, nearly the perfect size for, can you see in the bottom there? To fit a gravel tray into the bottom. So all the seedlings at home, they're all in trays, and I found this is the best way to do it, because if I try to put a whole tray in there, there's quite a danger that I'm going to knock, damage, tip out the whole tray of all my plants. So I leave that tray in the bottom. Then when I get home, obviously I've dropped this lot of tomatoes off today. When I get home this evening, I will decant more tomatoes in here, leave it out on my landing overnight where it's still quite cool, bring them down tomorrow. So yeah, it's a little bit of an effort, but you know what? I don't have a greenhouse, so it's the only way it's going to happen in terms of getting things started early enough so that they've got a chance to come to fruition in the summer months. And it just becomes a bit of a habit in May. Like I was saying the other day about get down here, sort out a bed, do some seeding. Well, part of that, not quite daily visit, but part of that routine is grab some seedlings from home, get them down here, get them in the cold frame, start hardening them off, go and see to a bed, see to my watering. Do I need to do any seeding? I've got a whole lot of seeding to do direct, pretty much beans and legumes, but I'm going to do that next week because there's a couple more beds I'd like to get prepared first. So also referring back to the May tour video, every visit now, my kind of minimum on my work schedule is to get a bed prepared and do some seeding. Oh, just to say about the beds, yes, I do still dig, I just don't have access to enough compost to put inches and inches of compost on the top to plant into. But it's definitely getting easier over the years because, as you've seen by now, in the autumn, early winter, I chuck whatever organic matter I can onto my beds, whether it's compost, barely composted material, crop and drop as I take the last of the plants out, leaves, grass clippings, literally anything I can lay my hands on. I try and get sort of 2 or 3 inches of matter on the top of each bed, get them covered in the cardboard so the rain doesn't pelt. You will have seen, again in the May tour, where I'd sown the onions, and I'd sown the onions below the surface of the soil. We had one afternoon of really quite heavy rain, and you can see my onions are now sitting, it looks like they're on the top of the soil. The rain massively compacts my soil, which is why I use nets quite a lot, just to break the force of the rain, and why I use mulch wherever possible. Anyway, back to the bed prep. A couple of folks said, why don't you use a rototiller? I did try one once. It was the spring after I'd broken both my wrists in the winter. I didn't have any wrist strength for digging. And basically the rototiller, it just bounced and skidded along on the surface of the soil. It was just no match for my heavy, compact clay soil here. But never mind, like I said, over the years, with more and more organic matter chucked at my soil. It is getting better. The other thing about a rototiller is there's something really quite indiscriminately aggressive about it, you know, chopping up worms, that sort of thing. So with my very light forking that I do these days, and it's usually only sort of in the surface, I've got a little bit more control that way to really not disturb that sort of substrata of the soil. But also, you know, if I accidentally flick a little worm up, I put it straight back in. So, yes, the promise for every visit now is do at least one bed, and if there are sowings to do that day, do the sowings. But outside of that, every time I come down here, the thing now is, it's my little promise to myself, so long as I get that one bed done, for the rest of the day, the morning, afternoon, however short or long my session is, I am allowed to do whatever the heck I want. Yay! So, for example, the shed is a tip. I would like to clean it up. But today, just because I want to, I'm going to see to flowers and herbs. Again, referring back to that May tour, I was mentioning I've got various cuttings on the deck. I'd like to get them planted. A, because they ain't going to grow in their pots, are they? But B, because I really need to start clearing space on the deck now for all the incoming bean seeds. So, yes, something of a flower day. Where shall we start? Oh, I know. Down here. Hang on a tick. I don't know if it's too late. I hope it's not too late. This bag... Oh, here's one shooting. Oh, and another one. What's in the bag, Vivi? I really hope it's not too late. Look at that shoot. So this bag turned up on my doorstep. I think it was about sometime in March. It was when I wasn't here. This is Crocosmia. So my friend Catherine, across the path from me, she had a massive clump. I mean, it was absolutely massive. It had spread beyond where she wanted it. So she did a big dig up and divided and then basically sorted out, this is a great example, sorted out a load of corms to give to myself and Gary and a couple of others. So I need to get these in today. Now, I've never grown Crocosmia before. I think it's a pretty tough little plant. I think it's pretty indestructible. But what I was advised was, and it's really clear now it's shooting, is where you get this sort of, it's almost like a little caterpillar, sort of like segmented body of a caterpillar. The paler, creamy coloured corm is the corm I want to plant. These more sort of reddy brown, darker ones are the really old ones. And I was advised very simply to snap off. Is it going to snap? It's done now. So, oh, I've just chopped it. Oh, where is it? Okay, so that's this sort of old gnarly one. Snap that off. And this is the one I want to plant. So, I'm going to get planting these. I'm not going to put them directly into my ground because by all accounts they really can be quite invasive. And the area I'm putting them is really tiny, quite tight, and I want them, but I don't want them to take over because I want other things for that area. So what I need to do before I do anything else is find a pot, because I'm going to plant them in a pot and then sink the pot in the ground. Yeah, that's what I need to do, is find a pot and then go through the bag and just look for all these slightly paler, sort of beigey, creamy, brown ones as opposed to those dark red ones. I don't know how many I'll need. However, many. They're going in, yay! So I've had a good rummage in that bag and I have selected 12 corms. They're all shooting. So, this is the biggest pot I could find. And actually, this is probably as much as I want anyway. I've made a hole, we'll see in a second. I want this pot to sit on level with the soil. so we're not going to see the pot. And I'm just wondering how, I'm not really sure how deep to plant them. All I've got in this pot is it's just garden soil. Because, you know, let's face it, if I was planting them directly into the garden, they'd be just going in garden soil. So nothing fancy like compost or anything. Lots of dry, hairy roots. I don't know if I'm supposed to trim those. Oh, let's just get them popped in. Bong him in, gunged in. That's 2 for the price of 1 there. Oh, here comes the sun again. I thought it was going to completely disappear for the day. I'm packing these in quite closely, but like I say, I think they're a pretty tufty little plant. Have I got any space for soil on the top? A little. Such a nice job to do. Oh, I think 1 more, Vivi. Don't be greedy. You know, I think it's really important that we remember that our gardens are supposed to be a pleasure and fun as well as work. So if you're like me and you're at the stage where, you know, you're still creating beds, doing a load of seeding, whatever it is, but particularly with sort of the beds and the sort of hard, grunty work, do think of ways to reward yourself. And that might be to simply sit, do your job, sit, enjoy the bird song, enjoy the butterflies and the bees. But yeah, whatever it is, do make sure you're giving yourself opportunities to simply be and enjoy. Right, let's go and sink this pot. Yay, it's great getting these jobs underway today. I think it's fairly obvious where it's going. There we go. Now, this variety of Crocosmia, I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but we think it's the variety called Lucifer, which is the very common one that pretty much most people will be familiar with. And it's got the most beautiful, deep red, almost orangey red flowers. And I just think, because I've got the purple verbena behind, that combination of orange and purple should look amazing. Well, I'm hoping they do. Now, I've got a couple of things to plant right at the back against the fence, so I think we'll do that job next. Gosh, when the sun comes out, it's really quite warm. Okay, so before I get stuck in planting these cuttings over the fence, I've got honeysuckle and a rambling rose. The honeysuckle, it looks like, you're a weed. 3 of my 4 cuttings took. Great, these are just literally cuttings from a neighbouring hedge that had to be cut back because it was invading the path. So I thought, oh, let's have some cuttings. So I've got 3 here. 1 is a really quite good, decent size, because with both the rose and the honeysuckle, I'm going to be planting against my fence. I'm also going to be planting them somewhere else. And the somewhere else, I'm going to go with the smaller ones. So that's the honeysuckle, they look great. And then these lovely rose cuttings, these came from Paul. It's a beautiful sort of scrambling, rambling, climbing rose, little pink blooms, that was in his back garden. and he took cuttings because the fence they were up again, it was a neighbour fence and it had to be completely replaced. New people moved in, completely replaced. Did a great job, but Paul was really canny, thinking that actually in doing that the plant may get destroyed, so let's take some cuttings, which he did. And again, they look great. So I've got 4 here. So this really lovely big vigorous one, that's going to go by the fence. I'll pick one of the other smaller ones to go in my second spot, and then the other 2 I'm going to repot them and keep bringing them on, because rather fabulously, it's all been shut for the last year because of COVID, but we have a community, big community shed where we've got a kitchen so we can make tea and coffee and what have you. It's where we hang out for, you know, if we're doing barbecues, that sort of thing. And recently, outside of that, we've built a lovely pergola, sort of seating area. So I'm going to bring 2 of these roses on to eventually put to the pergola. They'll be perfect. Now, what I'm going to do for now, I don't really want to disturb all of them all in one go until I'm ready to actually plant. I want to sort of get them out, get them planted. I don't know how to get them out though without getting the lot out. I'm just going to tip it up. Let's see what happens. I can see roots out of the bottom. Oh my goodness, I watered these the other day. Whoa, look at that root system. Masses of roots. I watered the other day, but in picking them out to just bring them over to the table now, I realised that the tray they were sitting in was a seed tray. It's got holes in the bottom, so it's been draining. But I think what I'm going to do is just be a bit sort of pull apart, ruthless. I'm so sorry, little plant. I'm just trying to tease it. I was going to say try and tease it gently, but I don't think it understands gentle. Crikey, that's really enmeshed. Okay, that's the one I'm planting. These 2, pop them back in the pot. I would, in planting them, give them a really good soaking in any case. Definitely now, having seen how dry it was in that pot, these should be wetter. Again, I think I'm just going to have to tip the whole lot up. Gently, gently, Vivi. Again, look. Beautiful roots down there. So, whoop, nearly dropped the lot. I'm after this big one on the corner. Sorry, little ones. Oh, I'm so sorry. There we go. And again, I'm just going to pop these straight back in their pot. This lot I'm just going to put down under the table in the shade for now. Right, let's go and plant. Oh, it's like, I'm sure I said this in another video, but firstly, well, I don't do much with flowers generally, but I don't normally have these lovely sort of free plants. It's like having some sort of instant garden, although obviously it's going to take them years to climb and ramble. But come on, let's go and get them planted. Right, lovely little plants. I've pre-prepared their holes for them because, like I said, I think it is quite warm day today, and I really don't want them out of a pot or out of the ground too long. It's a little bit awkward down here. You are going there. And the thing with a rose and a honeysuckle as well is, in theory, the honeysuckle should really enjoy climbing in and amongst the rose. Get that in. Oh, watch the Crocosmia. Just give them a fairly good firm in. And it's such an awkward position. I've slightly I don't know if it picks up. I've slightly angled them to the fence to let them know where they want to be going. Right, let's give them a dousing of water. By the way, did you notice when I was putting the tomatoes in the cold frame, that lovely new water tank is in use? It's right next to my cold frame. Perfect, especially at this time of year when I'm bringing so many seedlings down here. And because they're in the cold frame, they will need almost daily watering because they will get quite dry in there. It is saving me about a 40-metre trip for each can. Oh, I'm so happy. Really good soap. The other thing is, right next to the fence here, I noticed that the soil is a little bit drier than in other parts of the garden. So I will keep an eye on that. And over the next few days, I will keep giving these to a regular watering, just to help sort of ameliorate some of that transplant shock, but also the dryness down there. Now I can put all the mulch back. One thing I'm always saying is there's no point mulching dry ground. Get the ground good and wet and then mulch. Yay, be happy my little ones. Now your twin sisters need to be planted. I clearly need to have a little bit of a tidy up outside the shed. It's a little bit dump and run, and I need a bit of space for my next job, so they are for keeps. And that was the peas that I killed by not being here for a month. Oops, never mind. I'm sure they will be planted up again really soon. And this, that's the disappointment of overwintering the geraniums in the shed. It didn't work. It got too cold in there for them. Never mind, it's always worth a go. And of course, I had taken cuttings as a backup, which are doing perfectly, and no space. They will be coming to the garden quite soon. Let me move my lovely Lynn lanterns for a second. Beautiful lanterns that one of my nurse pals hand paints. Gorgeous, aren't they? This one, you may not have seen it close up, but yes, that is a little bra painted on, and that's a symbol of our support for each other. I love that. Right, so the plan, actually let me bring you down here, and I'm going to plonk my bum as well. I'm sort of in, out of the light. It's that time of year when it's about midday. It's just coming to the corner of my shed, so I'm in the dark. My little trough here is in the dapple shade. Like with the other pelargoniums. Did I call them geraniums? I probably did. We all commonly call them geraniums. They didn't make it. They made it for ages. Remember I put fleece here? They did really well for ages, and then we had that snow in the second week of February, and I completely forgot to get down here to pop the fleece over and around them. So yeah, they got quite a chilling. Now, what I'm thinking, actually that's that spare garden soil, let's just top it up. Ooh, Worm, you've got a new home. I'm going to put a rose and a honeysuckle in this trough too. Now, it's not a big trough, not by any means. You know, if you were wanting, huge plants, covering the whole side of your house, you wouldn't want to put them in such a little pot. But actually, I don't want them to get too big. I don't want them to go rampant. What I'd love is for them to just, literally just this little side section of the shed. There we are. Maybe just to the eaves of the roof. But then the plan will be that I will keep sort of cutting them back, pruning them back, to keep them fairly compact. I think it'd be lovely here. The only other way You know, if I wanted them to get absolutely massive and to go up and over the roof, I would need a really, really big pot for them. And that would have to be on the outside of the shed, and there's just no room for it. But I think this will do. So, and then once, sorry little plants, which one of you is, oh, you're peeling off, you want to come here, don't you? And then with these two, oh my goodness, okay, with these two remaining cuttings, I'm going to just pop those on into little individual pots, and like I say, they will become the roses to give to our community pergola. And with the honeysuckle, likewise, this little spare one, really tenacious roots. Oh la la. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, it feels a bit drastic. But that remaining one, if it survives, I'll also grow that one on for the community pergola. Now, which way round? Rose or honeysuckle at the front? I think rose at the front, because it's so pretty. This, I don't know the name, the variety of the rose. I'm not even sure if Paul does. I don't know whether it was in their garden when they moved in. All I know is it rambles and scrambles, and it's got pretty pink flowers. Now, likewise, I don't know what type of honeysuckle it is. Its flowers are actually quite a pale yellow, sort of almost a sort of butter yellow. Again, really pretty. But the thing with the honeysuckle, of course, is it's really highly scented. Now, I can't remember with the rose, I did see it in their garden growing, but I can't remember whether it's got a scent or not. If it hasn't, never mind. I'm sure it's just going to be a lovely thing to see. If it has got a scent, brilliant. And like I said, never mind if it doesn't, because the honeysuckle does. So again, I'm going to give these two a really good watering in with water from the water butt, which is right next to me. So again, yay, no 20-metre dash to the water tanks. Well, actually from here it's more like a 40 there, 40 back. So let's call it a 100-metre dash to get water. No, I've got some here. Okay, good. Get these two watered and then go and fill up these pots with a load of garden soil, because I don't want to be using compost at the moment. Set them to one side, and then what's the next? Oh, I know what the next job is. Do you know what occurs to me? It occurs to me that this is like a little friendship corner. I've got my beautiful Lynn lanterns. I've got my sweet wee Richard and Paul rose. And just above, tinkling away in the gentle breeze, I've got my gorgeous gym chimes. Yay, how lovely. So in terms of what I was just saying a second ago about how high they get and pruning, I need to step back for this. I'd like them to sort of scramble up the post, just about to the eaves, and that's where I'll sort of keep trimming them and stopping them from getting too big. Hello, shed mirror, not mirror. Yeah, oh, do well, little ones, do well. I really hope they do. They've had a good soaking. Right, next job. I got a bit distracted on my way to my next job because this little mint was in the way. So I thought I'd just quickly bring it to the shed, give it a haircut. All right, cats, don't hiss. Yeah, all the dead stuff from last year, snip it out. Now, this morning, I don't know what's gone on. I had two quite big pots set aside. One for the Crocosmia, which I know where that is, it's in the ground. And then a slightly larger, square one that I was going to put this into. Let's give it a bit more space. I can't find it, it's just disappeared. I don't know what I've done, honestly, I don't know what I've done with it. And it shows that I probably really do need a good shed sort out. Right, now, so this is going to go into, it's not pretty, but it does the job. I've got one of those, you know, those, I was going to say tins, they're no longer tins, are they? You know those sort of family-sized tins of chockies you get for Christmas? Or that you get if you're a nurse, when families leave the ward as a thank you. Big tins, big tubs of chocolates. So I snaffled a couple a few years ago, and they make great drip trays, that's great. But also, because this is mint, if you've never grown mint before and you think, oh, I'd love to have some mint, sorry, hairy face, particularly peppermint for tea. I don't like spearmint. Spearmint just makes me think of chewing gum. Ugh, I don't want to drink a cup of chewing gum in the morning. But yeah, if you are having a go at mint for the first time this year, perhaps this weekend you're going to a nursery or garden centre and you see little wee pots of it and you think, oh yeah, I'd love to grow some mint for my own tea. Do not plant it in your garden. It is rampant. It is incredibly invasive. If you put mint in your garden, eventually mint is all you will have in your garden. So yeah, it always needs to go in a container. So this is, like I said, this is really tiny. I'd like a bigger pot for it. I'll keep an eye out. The other thing, you might be able to see there's some little signs of roots coming out at the bottom. One of the reasons for putting it in that ugly plastic chocolate box is A, as a drip tray, but B, so that these roots don't come out of the bottom of the pot, go sideways and start coming up in the bed. Because like I said, yeah, it's just such an incredibly invasive plant. It's a gorgeous plant to have in the garden, but it needs to be kept under control. It's a thug. Listen, you thug, I'm in charge. The only reason I've just done this is because it was in the way of the job I was about to do. So let's go and get on with that job. I realise this has been quite a long video already, so I'm going to wrap up in a second. I've still got lots of jobs to do. The next one is to get my sweet peas in. Balance, where to balance? Down there for now. This big pot, couple of little annual weed seeds have landed. It's a combination of some spent compost and a bit of garden soil. It'll do. Now the thing with this obelisk, which is why I want my sweet peas to go up, they actually struggle to climb with smooth supports. So beam poles, this obelisk. So what I've got to hand is a whole lot of this. This is my rose prunings from the end of February. Yeah, I've got loads of them. So what I'll do is I'll get the sweet peas in first and then kind of just get these in wherever I can. I think these are, oh yeah, a couple have bitten the dust. They're long overdue for planting. In previous years with sweet peas, I would pinch out the top to encourage lots more side growth, more blooms. This year, a bit different. I haven't pinched the tops out purely because that whole missed month of March, I was just glad they'd survived. They are gagging to go in. Let's have a quick look, see what any of the roots look like. So there's only 2 little plants in here. Planted 5 in each pot, so some of them have, oh yeah, look, you can see. They really need to go in. So hopefully once they're in, they'll be happy, they'll settle down, and they will start to get away. I'll get them in, get the, I was going to say pea sticks, it's not pea sticks, rose bush trimmings. Hello lovely. Get those trimmings in, give it all a really good soak. I think we're due some rain tomorrow, that would be great. But yeah, they haven't been pinched. However, I have got quite, oh look, they really need to go in. I have got quite a few, so what I lack in side shoots, hopefully I can make up for in sheer number of plants. I've got 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 15 of these little pots. Each had 5 in. 15 times 5, 75. Let's see, even if half didn't germinate, 37 and a half plants. You can't have a half a plant, can you? You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm going to get on with that. Then for the rest of the day off camera, loads of snipping, pruning the French lavender, which I left completely unharvested at the end of last season. Just wanted to give them that bit of protection because they don't do great in the UK climate. They've got through the winter, so now they can have a prune. When I pruned the rose, there were some bits of the rose that were just too thick for my secateurs, so I'm going to get my saw to them, tidy that up. The sage and the rosemary that had the big prune, they need a little bit more of a tidy up. So I'm going to have this lovely, lovely session of planting, tidying, all about the flowers, and then this afternoon, oh my goodness, if it doesn't rain, I'm going to dig out another bed. Yay, I love May! So for now I'm going to say cheerio to all of you. I do hope you're kind of keeping your motivation going and you're feeling positive that you can do things. I know quite a few folk messaged me after the May tour to say thanks for the pep talk. You know what, it was a pep talk to me as much as to any of you, but yeah, we've got 3 or 4 weeks. If we really get stuck in, we can transform our spaces and have some great harvests this year. So turn me off now, turn off YouTube, go and get in your garden. In the meantime, be well. I will see you all again really soon, I hope, after I've done some planting and snipping. Bye for now, everyone.